Could Marlene Dietrich's captivating eyes have been windows to a life filled with secrets and danger? Was the iconic actress not just stealing scenes, but also stealing classified information? As rumors swirled like a tempest, Marlene's life teetered on the edge of a precipice, her legacy at risk of being forever tarnished. But what if these whispers were more than just idle gossip? What if they were the echoes of covert operations so secretive they could alter the course of history? Hold on to your seats, because Marlene is just the tip of the iceberg. Hollywood's glittering facade has long concealed a labyrinth of secrets, and some of its brightest stars may have been embroiled in espionage, their double lives as thrilling as any blockbuster. In today's pulse-pounding video, we're peeling back layers of intrigue to reveal the Hollywood icons who might have been living on the edge, risking it all in a high-stakes game of espionage. From heart-stopping missions behind enemy lines to desperate alliances shrouded in mystery, we're unearthing stories so electrifying they've been hidden for decades. Prepare for a whirlwind journey that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's golden age. This is one cinematic experience you'll never forget. The era of espionage in Hollywood. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s were a facade, a glittering mask that hid a world teeming with secrets and lies. The United States was embroiled in World War II and later the Cold War, casting long shadows over the land of dreams. Hollywood was not just a place of make-believe. It was a strategic asset, a propaganda machine, and a hotbed for political and ideological battles. The U.S. government saw the film industry as a powerful tool for shaping public opinion. The Office of War Information worked closely with studios to produce films that would boost morale and promote the American way of life, but where there was power, there was also the potential for subversion. The fear of communist infiltration was palpable. The House Un-American Activities Committee turned its gaze toward Hollywood, leading to the infamous blacklist that ruined careers and lives. In this atmosphere of heightened tension and paranoia, the line between actor and spy began to blur. The government recruited from Hollywood's ranks, seeking individuals who could move seamlessly between different roles both on and off the screen. These stars had access to high-profile events and influential people, making them ideal candidates for gathering intelligence. It was a time when anyone could be a spy and everyone was under suspicion. The stakes were high and the penalties for failure were even higher. In this world of smoke and mirrors, some of Hollywood's brightest stars would risk it all, embarking on clandestine missions that would take them far from the safety of the spotlight. But was Carrie Grant alone? The next star's story is even more intriguing. Carrie Grant, the British charmer. Born Archibald Alec Leach in Bristol, England in 1904, was the epitome of Hollywood charm and sophistication. With his suave demeanor and impeccable style, he captured the hearts of audiences worldwide. But behind that debonair smile lay a man of complexity, a man whose life was as intriguing off-screen as it was on. Grant's journey to Hollywood stardom was anything but ordinary. He ran away from home at the age of 14 to join a vaudeville troupe, honing his skills as a performer before making his way to the United States. By the late 1930s, he had become one of Hollywood's leading men, starring in classics like Bringin' Up Baby and His Girl Friday. His fame afforded him access to the upper echelons of society, a privilege that did not go unnoticed by those in power. As World War II raged on, the lines between entertainment and politics became increasingly blurred. Cary Grant, a British citizen who had yet to become an American, found himself in a unique position. His international status and connections made him an attractive asset for intelligence agencies. In 1941, the British Security Coordination, a secret arm of the British intelligence operating in New York, approached Grant for a mission that would take him far from the Hollywood hills. The operation was shrouded in secrecy, but it involved using Grant's celebrity status to gain access to high-profile events where he could gather information on Axis sympathizers in the United States. Grant was trained in the art of espionage, learning how to intercept communications and how to operate in the shadows. He was given a new identity, complete with a fabricated background and false documents. His mission was so confidential that even his closest confidants were kept in the dark. For years, Grant balanced his life as a Hollywood star and a covert operative, attending glamorous parties by night and engaging in secret missions by day. He was said to have been involved in Operation Mincemeat, a deceptive strategy that used misinformation to mislead Nazi Germany about the invasion of southern Europe. While the full extent of his involvement remains classified, declassified documents have hinted at his contributions to the war effort, which went far beyond his roles on the silver screen. But as the war came to an end, so did Grant's covert operations. He returned to Hollywood, resuming his career as if nothing had happened. Yet those who knew him said he was a changed man, haunted by the secrets he had carried and the lives he had touched. He became increasingly reclusive, shunning the spotlight he had once embraced. But was Carrie Grant alone in this high-stakes game of espionage and intrigue? Far from it. The next Stars story is even more captivating, a tale that takes us from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the dark and dangerous world of international espionage. Marlene Dietrich, the German enigma. Born Marie Magdalene Dietrich in Berlin, Germany in 1901, was a woman of enigma and allure. Her smoky voice and magnetic screen presence made her an international sensation, but it was her off-screen activities that would add an indelible layer of intrigue to her legacy. Dietrich's rise to stardom was meteoric. She caught the eye of director Josef von Sternberg, who cast her in The Blue Angel, a film that would catapult her to international fame. Hollywood soon beckoned, and Dietrich answered the call, leaving her native Germany for the promise of American stardom. But as she ascended the ladder of success, the world around her was descending into chaos. The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime cast a dark shadow over Europe, and Dietrich, a staunch anti-Nazi, found herself torn between her homeland and her new life in America. It was during this tumultuous period that Dietrich was approached by the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the CIA. Her mission, should she choose to accept it, was to use her celebrity status and connections to gather intelligence on Nazi activities. Dietrich didn't hesitate. She saw it as her moral duty to fight against the regime that was tearing her homeland apart. Trained in espionage techniques, including cryptography and psychological warfare, Dietrich was more than just a pretty face. She was a highly skilled operative. She embarked on a series of covert missions, often traveling under the guise of USO performances for troops. Her close relationship with General George Patton gave her unprecedented access to military strategies and plans, information she passed on to Allied forces. But Dietrich's most daring mission came in 1944, during the liberation of Paris. Posing as a German nurse, she infiltrated a POW camp to gather information on German troop movements. The intelligence she collected was invaluable, aiding in the successful liberation of the city. For her bravery, she was awarded the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Yet, despite her heroic efforts, Dietrich's activities were not without controversy. Rumors swirled about her relationships with both men and women, including high-ranking military officials and fellow spies. These liaisons raised eyebrows, leading some to question the nature of her involvement in espionage activities. Was she a patriot, or was she using her missions as a cover for more personal endeavors? As the war ended and the Cold War began, Dietrich found herself once again at the intersection of fame and infamy. She continued to act, but the roles she took on were tinged with a sense of melancholy, as if reflecting the complex, multifaceted life she had led. If you thought Marlene Dietrich's story was captivating, wait until you hear about our next star, a woman whose life was a tapestry of art, activism, and espionage. Her story is one that defies belief. Josephine Baker, the French Connection. She was born Freda Josephine MacDonald in St. Louis, Missouri in 1906. She rose from the depths of poverty to become one of the most iconic entertainers of the 20th century. Known for her electrifying performances and her signature banana skirt, Baker was a sensation in Paris, far away from the racial segregation and discrimination she faced in her home country. But beneath the sequins and the spotlight was a woman of extraordinary courage, a woman who would become an unsung hero in the fight against tyranny. Baker's journey to espionage began in the dark days leading up to World War II. She had made France her home, and when the country she loved was threatened by Nazi occupation, she knew she had to act. Baker was recruited by the French Resistance, a clandestine organization fighting against Nazi rule. Her fame and her frequent travels provided the perfect cover for her activities as a spy. Her missions were fraught with danger, but vital for the resistance. She smuggled secret messages and photographs across borders, hiding them in her sheet music or even sewn into her dresses. She gathered intelligence from high-ranking Japanese officials and Axis officers, often during her performances or at social events where she was the star attraction. Her cafe society connections were a treasure trove of information, and she exploited them to the fullest. But perhaps her most audacious act came in 1941 when she was enlisted for Operation Zeppelin, a mission to gather information on Italian air bases in North Africa. Posing as a journalist, Baker used her charm and wit to gain access to restricted areas, collecting data that was crucial for Allied forces. The intelligence she gathered was used in planning the North African campaign, a turning point in the war. For her bravery, Baker received several honors, including the Croix de Guerre and the Rosette of the Resistance. She was the first American woman to receive such high French military honors, yet despite her heroism, her contributions were often overshadowed by her stage persona, leading many to underestimate the depth of her involvement in espionage activities. After the war, Baker continued to break barriers, becoming a vocal advocate for civil rights and racial equality. She returned to the United States in the 1950s using her platform to speak against segregation and discrimination, yet the scars of her wartime experiences never fully healed. She was a woman divided, caught between the allure of the stage and the harsh realities of a world torn apart by conflict. Josephine Baker was not the only one using her international fame for espionage. Stay tuned for our next chapter, where we delve into the life of a Hollywood star whose espionage activities were so secret they were only revealed decades later. Sterling Hayden, the reluctant patriot. Born Sterling Rillia Walter in Montclair, New Jersey in 1916, was a man of many faces. A sailor, a Marine, a Hollywood actor, and a writer. Hayden lived a life that read like a novel. But one of the most intriguing chapters of his life was his involvement in espionage during World War II and the Cold War, a chapter that remained hidden for decades. Before he became a Hollywood star, Hayden was a sailor. His love for the sea led him to join the Marine Corps, where he served with distinction. But it was his rugged good looks and towering presence that caught the eye of Hollywood scouts. Soon he was starring in films like Asphalt Jungle and Dr. Strangelove and becoming a household name. Yet, despite his success, Hayden was a man plagued by inner demons, a man searching for a purpose beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. That purpose came in the form of a secret mission orchestrated by the Office of Strategic Services. Hayden was recruited for Operation Underworld, a clandestine effort to gather intelligence on Axis powers. His maritime skills made him an ideal candidate for the mission, which involved infiltrating enemy lines to collect information on naval movements and submarine activities. Hayden underwent rigorous training, learning the arts of sabotage, cryptography, and hand-to-hand combat. He was given a new identity, complete with a fabricated backstory and false documents. His mission took him to the treacherous waters of the Mediterranean, where he operated undercover as a fisherman. The intelligence he gathered was invaluable, aiding in the planning of Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa. But Hayden's involvement in espionage didn't end with World War II. During the Cold War, he was once again called upon to serve his country, this time as a CIA operative. His mission was to infiltrate communist circles in Eastern Europe, gathering intelligence on Soviet activities. The details of these missions remain classified, but what is known is that Hayden's work had a significant impact on U.S. foreign policy during a critical period in history. Yet, despite his contributions, Hayden was a reluctant patriot. He was disillusioned by the bureaucracy and the moral ambiguities of espionage, leading him to question the very ideals he had fought for. In his later years, he turned to writing, penning an autobiography that touched upon his experiences but left much unsaid. He passed away in 1986, taking many of his secrets to the grave. Up next, a star whose espionage activities were so secret they were only revealed decades later, involving not just espionage but also a tale of love and betrayal. Noel Coward, the master of disguise. Born in 1899 in Teddington, England, was a man of many talents. A playwright, composer, director, actor, and singer, Coward was a Renaissance man in the truest sense. His wit and charm made him a darling of London's West End and Broadway, but it was his work behind the scenes in the murky world of espionage that adds an unexpected twist to his storied life. Coward's foray into the world of espionage began at the onset of World War II. His close friendship with Winston Churchill provided him an entry into the British Secret Service. Churchill, recognizing Coward's unique skill set, enlisted him in the Political Warfare Executive, a secret organization aimed at spreading propaganda and gathering intelligence. Given his extensive travels and international connections, Coward was the perfect candidate for covert operations. He was trained in the arts of deception, code-breaking, and psychological manipulation. Armed with these skills and his natural charisma, Coward embarked on a series of missions that took him from the salons of Paris to the political hotbeds of Africa and the Middle East. One of his most daring missions involved infiltrating the Vichy government in France. Posing as a neutral journalist, Coward gained access to high-ranking officials, gathering intelligence on troop movements and political alliances. His reports were instrumental in shaping British strategy in the North African campaign, particularly the Battle of El Alamein, a turning point in the war. But Coward's espionage activities were not without personal cost. His relationship with longtime partner Graham Payne came under scrutiny, leading to rumors and innuendos. The British government, wary of the potential scandal, sidelined Coward, relegating him to less risky propaganda work. Yet, despite these setbacks, Coward continued to serve his country in any way he could, even if it meant sacrificing his personal happiness. After the war, Coward returned to the stage, but the experiences of his espionage days left an indelible mark on him. His later works, such as The Vortex and Private Lives, reflected a darker, more introspective tone, as if mirroring the complexities and moral ambiguities of the world he had navigated as a spy. Our next star's story involves not just espionage, but also a tale of love and betrayal. A woman whose beauty and intellect made her a perfect spy, yet whose activities remained a well-guarded family secret until her final days. Hedy Lamar, the inventive spy. Born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in 1914 in Vienna, Austria, Hedy Lamar was a woman ahead of her time. Known for her stunning beauty and her roles in films like Algiers and Samson and Delilah, Lamar was a Hollywood icon. But what many don't know is that she was also a brilliant inventor and a spy whose contributions significantly impacted the course of World War II. Lamar's journey into the world of espionage began after her escape from an oppressive marriage to Fritz Mandl, a wealthy Austrian arms dealer with ties to fascist regimes. Fleeing to the United States, she caught the eye of MGM Studios and quickly rose to stardom. But as World War II raged on, Lamar felt compelled to contribute to the war effort in a meaningful way. Her opportunity came when she met George Antheil, an avant-garde composer and former weapons inspector. Together, they developed a frequency-hopping technology designed to prevent the jamming of radio-controlled torpedoes. This invention was years ahead of its time and was the precursor to modern-day Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technologies. But Lamar didn't stop there. Using her connections in the entertainment industry and her frequent trips to Europe, she gathered intelligence on Axis powers. Her status as a Hollywood star gave her access to diplomatic parties and military gatherings where she would subtly extract information from unsuspecting officials. This intelligence was passed on to the Allies, providing valuable insights into enemy strategies and technologies. Despite her contributions, Lamar's efforts went largely unrecognized during her lifetime. The U.S. Navy was skeptical of her invention, and it wasn't until the 1960s that her frequency-hopping technology was implemented. Moreover, her espionage activities were so clandestine that they remained a well-guarded secret even to her family. In her later years, Lamar became a recluse, shunning the public eye and living in relative obscurity. She passed away in 2000, but it wasn't until after her death that her contributions to science and espionage were fully acknowledged. She was posthumously inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to a woman whose beauty was matched only by her brilliance. Think this is shocking? Our next star's involvement in espionage was a well-guarded family secret so deeply buried that it took decades to come to light. John Wayne, the American icon, born Marion Robert Morrison in 1907 in Winterset, Iowa, John Wayne was the epitome of American masculinity. With his towering frame, rugged good looks, and a voice that commanded attention, Wayne became a symbol of American values and ideals. Known for his roles in classic films like Stagecoach, The Searchers, and True Grit, he was a Hollywood legend. But behind the scenes, Wayne led a life that was far more complex and controversial, including allegations of involvement in espionage activities during the Cold War. Wayne's connection to the world of espionage began in the early 1950s, a period marked by heightened tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. As a staunch anti-communist, Wayne was a vocal supporter of the House Un-American Activities Committee, a congressional group tasked with investigating alleged disloyalty and subversive activities. His political stance caught the attention of the FBI, who saw in him a potential asset for gathering intelligence. Operating under the codename Duke, a nod to his famous nickname, Wayne was tasked with infiltrating Hollywood circles suspected of communist sympathies. His mission was to gather information on actors, directors, and producers who were believed to be aiding Soviet propaganda efforts. Given his status in the industry, Wayne had access to private gatherings and confidential information, making him an effective undercover operative. However, Wayne's involvement in espionage was fraught with moral dilemmas. While he was committed to fighting communism, he struggled with the ethical implications of spying on his colleagues, many of whom were close friends. This internal conflict took a toll on his personal life, leading to strained relationships and a growing sense of isolation. Despite these challenges, Wayne continued his covert activities until the late 1950s. The intelligence he gathered was instrumental in several high-profile investigations, although the full extent of his contributions remains classified. After retiring from espionage, Wayne focused on his acting career, but the experiences of his secret life left an indelible mark on him, influencing his political views and artistic choices for the rest of his life. But not all stories have a heroic ending. The next star's espionage activities led to a tragic downfall, a tale that serves as a cautionary reminder of the risks involved in the shadowy world of espionage. Charlie Chaplin, the comedic informant, born Charles Spencer Chaplin in 1889 in London, England, Charlie Chaplin was a man who needed no introduction. His iconic character, the Tramp, became a global phenomenon, making Chaplin one of the most famous figures in the history of cinema. Known for his comedic genius in films like The Kid, City Lights, and Modern Times, Chaplin was a master of silent film. But what many don't know is that his life off-screen was filled with political intrigue, including allegations of espionage during the Cold War era. Chaplin's political leanings were always a subject of debate. While he openly criticized fascism and promoted social justice, his views were often interpreted as sympathetic to communism, especially during the McCarthy era. This made him a person of interest for the FBI, who kept a close eye on his activities both in the United States and abroad. In a twist of irony, Chaplin was approached by British intelligence agencies to serve as an informant. Given his international fame and access to high-profile individuals, he was seen as a valuable asset for gathering information on communist activities in Europe. Operating under the codename Limelight, a reference to one of his films, Chaplin was tasked with attending social events and diplomatic functions to collect intelligence. One of his most daring missions involved a trip to the Soviet Union, where he was invited to meet Joseph Stalin. Posing as a goodwill ambassador for the arts, Chaplin used the opportunity to gather information on Soviet military capabilities and political strategies. The intelligence he collected was passed on to British and American agencies, providing valuable insights into the inner workings of the Kremlin. However, Chaplin's involvement in espionage came at a high personal cost. His political activities made him a target for the House Un-American Activities Committee, leading to his eventual exile from the United States. Despite the risks, Chaplin continued his covert operations, even as he faced public scrutiny and personal hardships. Our final star's story is perhaps the most controversial of them all. A woman whose life was shrouded in mystery and whose involvement in espionage activities remains a subject of intense debate to this day. Don't go anywhere. Greta Garbo, the mysterious operative. Born Greta Lovisa Gustafsson in 1905 in Stockholm, Sweden, Greta Garbo was the epitome of enigmatic allure. With her smoldering eyes and aloof demeanor, she captivated audiences in films like Anna Karenina, Grand Hotel, and Camille. But behind that inscrutable facade lay a woman of many layers, including allegations of involvement in espionage during World War II. Garbo's journey into the world of espionage is as mysterious as the woman herself. During the war, she took a hiatus from acting and disappeared from the public eye. Rumors swirled about her whereabouts, but it wasn't until years later that the truth began to emerge. According to declassified documents, Garbo was recruited by British intelligence to serve as a spy, operating under the code name the Swedish Sphinx. Her mission was to infiltrate Nazi social circles and gather information on German military plans. Given her Swedish nationality and her neutral stance, Garbo was able to move freely across Europe, attending parties and social events frequented by high-ranking Nazi officials. Her beauty and charm made her a welcome guest, allowing her to extract valuable intelligence without arousing suspicion. One of her most daring exploits involved a secret meeting with Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsfuhrer of the SS. Posing as a sympathizer to the Nazi cause, Garbo gained his trust and acquired critical information on the V-2 rocket program, which she promptly relayed to British intelligence. This intelligence was instrumental in shaping Allied strategies, potentially saving countless lives. Despite the risks and the moral complexities of her role, Garbo carried out her duties with utmost secrecy. Even her closest friends and family were unaware of her clandestine activities, making her one of the most effective spies of her time. After the war, Garbo returned to her reclusive life, never speaking publicly about her espionage activities. She passed away in 1990, taking her secrets to the grave, leaving us to ponder the depths of her enigmatic life. From the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the shadowy corridors of international espionage, the lives of these stars were far more complex than what met the eye. Their stories serve as a testament to the intricate tapestry of history where fame, politics, and secrecy intertwine in unexpected ways. If you enjoyed this documentary, check out the next video in this series.